are there things that shouldn't be done to the CADASIL patient? And that only that makes it worthwhile to know the diagnosis. What do you think of that? When a patient gets a stroke, what doctors do normally? Is it different for a CADASIL patient than for a patient without CADASIL? Is that, oh, okay. So, is there something that can be done? Yes, and it's remarkable. How about the patients that are in receiving MS treatments? MS treatments are not picnic. They are tremendous drugs that have remarkable, you probably, Christy, know more about it than I do, but have remarkable side effects. Some of them are deal with your immune system. How about if a patient actually has CADASIL and is receiving this treatment? I've seen this here happen in the US. You know, even some will publish on it. It's remarkable. So there is a lot there, and there is. Thank you so much. I'm gonna collect the documents at the end, and I'm gonna make sure that your voice is heard every way I can. Yeah.
Another thing that I found very lacking in the medical community is the fact that there are things out there that you research, like L-arginine, that studies have been done, maybe not necessarily here in the United States, but in China or other countries, and also acetazolamide, which they say increases the blood flow to the brain. And when you speak to doctors about these things, I believe because they're not high-paying pharmaceuticals, that they're just dismissed, that too many doctors are so tied into the pharmaceutical community, they don't look at things like L-arginine, which a lot of people have good results with. I know some people here are taking it and they feel that it's helped.
So you think that the doctors should be more open to all these other ways of treatment or supplements that have been shown in other places to
right.
help?
If, you know,
you should be open to that. That's what you think. Okay.
Yeah, because I think they're very closed-minded because they're not drugs.
Or they don't even know about it. They weren't trained.
Yes, but I've mentioned it to, you know, doctors and I know other people too who have mentioned it to their doctor, and it's just, well, if you want, go ahead. And they use the standard cliche in the medical community, there's no scientific evidence of it, you know. But if you have several patients and they're telling you that this is help, you know, maybe as a doctor you can't suggest it, but maybe you could suggest that the patient look into it, you know, because there are things out there that.
So you think they should be more open?
Yeah. And when, like with my neurologist, who's excellent, there was that study on acetazolamide that it was done with only like 140 some CADASIL patients, but it
increases the blood flow to the brain.
Yes. Yes. And so there was a small study done, so I just copied the first page of it that basically was just the kind of the synopsis or, you know, the study, and I took that to my neurologist, and he said, oh, I never thought about trying that drug. Let's try that. Because I had it on paper, and I showed him just like that.
You were the one that brought it up.
Yes, I brought it up. But he was very receptive to that, and I'm on it, and my dizziness and lightheadedness has decreased by being on that, because it's a high altitude drug. And so that's, you know, when people are climbing mountains, they'll take that so that they don't get those horrible headaches and dizziness and stuff when they're climbing mountains. And so then they did this study with CADASIL. So, you know, I don't fault him for not knowing that, for not reading that study himself, because he has he has a huge job. But I really appreciated when I brought it to his attention.
He was receptive.
It's like, yes, let's do it. Where some doctors might go, you know, that was only 140 people or whatever, and discount it. You know, doctors need to, if you want to try it, the patient's willing to try it, let them try it, unless they know for sure if it's going to be instrumental. Let them.
Yeah, he was very receptive. You put that to him.
Yes, it's very good.
Do you have any views on L-arginine? Do you have any views on L-arginine?
In Colombia, which is where, you know, we have the patients that I actually see, they are not taking L-arginine or supplements. It's not, but maybe it's something that I have to look more into. I am one of them, you know. It's one of these things about listening to what patients are saying and what they are eating. About supplements in Colombia, I think that it's a society in which that's actually part of the culture. People take a lot of things, okay? So what we have been doing, and our experience there was that a lot of the patients, because they are in villages, they have a very magical view of the disease. And they actually, because it was familiar, a lot of the patients actually thought that it had to do with like witch hunting and witchcraft and all of these things, that that they were cursed. And for them, as some of you mentioned before, this had to do more learning that it was a genetic condition that other people had. It was also kind of a relief, as Jana, you were saying earlier, in the sense that, hey, this is not a curse, this is not something witchcraft, this is actually just a disease, and a lot of other people have it, and I can learn about it from a medical scientific point of view. So, because we were doing that transition, bringing in something for which there was no scientific proof is not something that we felt we should do at that point, because it's just part of the culture. That's not even something where the doctors are asked. A doctor would not ask about L-arginine in Colombia, or a potion, or something. They would not ask us, because they're not our realm. They just do it. You know what I'm saying? So there is a cultural difference there. Here people are at a different point. They're like, well, what do we do with these things that we know and could help, this and that? In Colombia, we are at a different point. So I can tell you they are not taking it. That's experience that I can bring in from what is going on in Colombia. We are at that, we are at crossroads there in terms of like actually bringing in the scientific aspect of it and sticking to it. That's what is happening. But in terms of that communication, and as you did, the communication of the patient with the doctor is essential, because this is where things come up, and this is where you can get your doctor to listen and actually read about it. What is, there are a lot of, and this is, because it's gonna come back again, I was thinking about it, and I actually have something very specific to say about what do I think about supplements, what do I think about these things that work for a patient that you do or you don't. I have, and I want to bring it up now that we are talking about. My position is the following. I'm a physician, and I'm trained as a scientist, and this is Western science, okay? Which is basically we have hypotheses, we test them with science, and we decide to act upon those results. And if the results don't support what we were thinking, we don't act. That is actually the, it has to do with the tradition of medicine, which, there is and we swear to that, is the tradition of medicine of do no harm, okay, on the one hand, and also there is the tradition of scientific training, in which we only act upon knowledge that has been proven scientifically. Okay, so this is where I'm come from. But I also come from I'm a Colombian, and I come from this place where, my grandmother, no matter what I had, it could be, a sprained ankle, it could be an infection, it could be anything. She would just put her hands on me, and she will cure me. And that's my experience, and I'm not gonna let. So was she able to cure me? Yes. Did she have the power of healing? Yes. Can I prove it? No. It's my, so I cannot deny, no one can deny to me my experience as a human, and I cannot deny yours. And that is my general position. So if you ask me for my opinion, I'm speaking as a doctor, I'm speaking as a scientist. But your experience as a human of what you think heals is valid. It's totally valid. I may not say, well, now I'm going to tell everybody to do that. The moment that I cannot just say, well, we're doing research, I can't just line up everyone, and my grandmother will just do it. Can't do that, but she can do it to me. It worked, for as long as she was around. And it's, if I had something, I would still do it, but she's no longer with us. She actually died of a stroke, actually. So